Well, I'm like always. It's always a pleasure to meet someone from MES.
Yeah.
ഏത് ബാച്ചാണ്?
ഞാൻ 2020 batch.
Oh, 2020.
I started IEEE with your section.
എനിക്ക് അതോ ഉറങ്ങിക്കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ രാത്രി ഉറങ്ങില്ല.
Karthik, you were saying something, sorry?
Yeah, like I started IEEE with your session, I believe.
Yeah, do you? I'm sorry about that.
So, like, I remember that session actually, like Liana, then Ashwin.
Right. Good man. Like in that case, definitely good virtually seeing you again.
Yes.
So just give me one moment. I think Shankar is. I'll just let Shankar know that I got into the meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
Karthik, I'm okay to go whenever you are. Like if you would like to wait for some more time, I'm also okay with that.
Yes, sir. Like we'll wait for 5 more minutes.
Sure. No worries.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening, Vijay. Thank you for joining.
Yes, hi Shankar. Hi. Yes, hi Shankar.
Hello. Anyway, it's great to see you again.
Same here. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And it's and anyway, congratulations for this year's Regional Award for Victoria Section also.
Thank you.
And
Thank
you are
you.
really moving to these sections and creating history. Anyway, it's, personally, I'm feeling a lot of proud knowing you, being IKP. Okay.
Thanks. That's really kind of you. Thank you.
So, do you have set any milestones like you'll be covering 5 sections globally?
Nothing, like I definitely want to keep it as slow as possible. It's not easy moving sections or moving countries, but seems like I'm in a couple of years I might have to move the section again. So let's see. But like I always say, irrespective of where the body is, the mind is always with Kerala section. So that never changes.
Yes. In all your talks and speeches, it's always good to hear IKYP.
Oh, I always mention that.
Okay.
Like always, like there is like literally I cannot not mention it. So it's always there.
It's an emotion, right? Being an IKP.
Absolutely. IKYP is not a member grade, it's an emotion.
Actually, personally, I have a quote myself that occurred during the recent ARTAN. It's like being an IKP volunteer is an emotion and being a section volunteer is a privilege. So that is a quote for myself.
No, it's absolutely true. See, especially like I would say, when we are in Kerala, we probably do not like we see that everything is so good, everything is so active and all that. You kind of truly understand the impact of it once you go somewhere else. So so say for example, 2017 when I came over here. So in 2016, Kerala section had around 1,050 events in total. And so next year when I came here and I was attending the EXICOM meeting here at Victorian section, they said that 2016 was really active for them. The section as a whole, they did around 82 events. And in my mind, I'm like 82 and 1,050. It's like, you can't even show them on the same scale. So it's once you leave the section, you understand that, as you said, it's actually a privilege to volunteer with Kerala section.
Okay, anyway, it's great to have you back again.
Thank you.
We are and best wishes for your career and your professional growth as well. And you strive. Anyway, we are getting all updates. Okay, so the stage is all yours. Okay, so Thomas and Karthik, hello, good evening. So shall we begin?
Yes, sir, we can begin in a moment.
Okay, great.
Just let me know when you're good.
Sure, sir, we'll let you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Bhavya, you are.
Okay. Good evening to one all present here. I deem it a great honor to welcome you all for today's session. As a part of an event of Finance 2.0, we are conducting a professional development session. It is presented by the one who himself is a senior communication coordinator at Monash University, content strategist, blogger, business speaker, and ex-entrepreneur. He's also the founder of Typewriter. As a business speaker, he has handled 100+ speaking gigs and workshops till date, and even has been recognized multiple times in his career. Some among his recognized appreciations are IEEE MGA Global Young Professional Achievement Award in 2020, IEEE Victorian Section Outstanding Young Professional Award in 2020, Dean's Award for the Outstanding Contribution to Monash University in 2018, Certificate of Special Appreciation IEEE Kochi Super Subsection in 2017. I consider it a great honor and privilege to welcome you, sir, Mr. Vijay S. Pool. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any queries or doubts regarding the session, please do type and send them in the chat box. Now, without any further ado, I'll turn the time over to our speaker, Mr. Vijay S. Pool. With due respect, sir, you may start the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhavya. Thank you. Thanks for that. Thanks for having me. So before I start, just one question I just like to put forward. So some of the stuff, to keep it informal, to keep it personal, I'll speak in Malayalam. So let me know if anyone is not comfortable with Malayalam. So it's not like I cannot convey it in English. Just that for whenever it's a Kerala audience, I always prefer some of the stuff. Yeah, it's better in Malayalam. So just put in the chat if you're not comfortable with Malayalam, and I'm happy to switch. So say Karthik, Thomas, Shankar, just let me know if someone says they are not comfortable with Malayalam, right? So thanks again for having me, and thanks again for that wonderful intro. Really kind of you. I'll just share my screen. But before that, let me just get started. So see, today's session is on professional development, right? Now, professional development by itself is a very broad topic. Okay, it's pretty broad. It's pretty vague. A 30-minute 1 hour session is never enough to even get started with the definition of professional development, right? So for me, the focus is, and at the end of the day, I'll try to keep this to 35 minutes max. And then it would be great if it can be interactive, because end of the day, professional development means different things for different people, right? So there is basically not much of a point if I just sit here and give you a seminar where the expectations with which you have come to the session might be different. So it would be great if you just come up with questions that you have. So 30 minutes, I'll try to just blabber some stuff which I've learned from experience and which I hope adds value to you. And then let's say the rest 30 minutes, let's keep it interactive. So I would say, I think Shankar would be moderating, and then just let the questions come in so that I can better make sure that there's value addition to you. So today, primarily, I'll be looking a few pointers on corporate etiquettes and personal branding. I'll be just skimming through some of the basic things. Some stuff you might know, some stuff might be new to you. And if it's stuff already which I'm just repeating it, just kind of make sure that, okay, this is an important point, and always to keep it in your mind. So I'll focus on telephone etiquettes, considering that, so I was told that the audience is primarily IEEE volunteers who are either existing leaders in the student branches or are looking forward to be the next set of leaders. So I just thought in terms of, when long back when I was a student, what were some of the skills which might have proved to be beneficial? So telephone etiquettes, email etiquettes, and just a bit about quick few pointers about personal branding. So that's what I'll just try to cover here, and rest we can definitely feel free to ask and shoot in the Q&A. So Shankar, Bhavya, Karthik, someone, if you can just confirm that the screen, it's full screen for you right now.
Yes, sir. It's
Yes,
visible.
sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. So just as the self-intro was already done, but just quickly, so professionally, I'm a content strategist and communications consultant. I'm also a blogger. In terms of my day job, I work as a senior communications coordinator with the Monash Data Futures Institute, which is an institute research center within Monash University that focuses on building a research community and research projects focused on AI and data science. And in terms of my evening job or night job or side hustle, as you would say, I'm also the founder of Typewriter Media, which is a blog/consultancy focused on content strategy. My IEEE career started long back in 2009 when I was doing my undergrad in electronics with MES College, Kuttipuram. And since then, I have always been a member. So 2008 or 2009. Yep. So I've been a member for 14 years. IEEE member for 14 years right now. 2009 to 16, I was with IEEE Kerala Section. And then in 2017, I came to Melbourne to pursue my master's, and then eventually started working here. So since then, I've been with the IEEE Victorian Section. I volunteer in various roles within IEEE, across sections, regions, MGA. So presently, sorry. So I'm with the Region 10 Information Management Committee, and I'm also the YP and TEMS Society Chair at Victorian Section. Now, quickly getting to the pointers. If you have any questions, just feel free to drop in the chat, or just make a note. And when it comes to the Q&A section, either we can take it through the chat, or we can just directly unmute yourself and ask the question. So in terms of telephone etiquettes, a few pointers, again, simple things, but it's really important when it comes from a professional context. Now, all the examples that I'll be using here are all from my IEEE experience. So each and every single example that I've used, any telephone conversation or any email, it's all from an IEEE volunteering perspective. So just understand that some of these things that have happened by student IEEE volunteers or young professional IEEE volunteers. And so the reason I say that as an example is at times when we know that we know stuff, many times we actually don't. So it's always good to be careful. And probably in what 2 or 3 or 4 years, when you start your professional journey, you start your career, it's good to learn all those very basic skills right now itself, because now if you make a mistake, nothing much happens. If you make the same mistakes when you're in a professional environment, the impact or let's say, the drawbacks are much greater. So I'll probably start with an example. This is let's say a transcript of a call I received a few years back. So Malayalathilayirunnu, the phone call was in Malayalam. The phone call was like, hello, ade, ഞാൻ IEEE സ്റ്റുഡന്റ് ബ്രാഞ്ചിന്റെ ചെയറാണ്. 23-ാം തീയതി ഞങ്ങൾ ഇവിടെ ഒരു പരിപാടി നടത്തുന്നുണ്ട്, നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഇങ്ങോട്ട് വരാൻ പറ്റുമോ, ഒന്ന് പെട്ടെന്ന് അറിയിക്കണേ. That was a phone call. The person calls, I pick up the phone, and this is what the person is like. Just directly, I'm the chair of this SB. Can you come over on 23rd? We like to conduct a program. ഒരു പരിപാടി നടത്തണം, പെട്ടെന്ന് പറയണം. And I'm like, എൻ്റെ മനസ്സിൽ I'm like, ആരെ പേരെന്താ, SBന്റെ ചെയറാന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് കേരളത്തിൽ 70-80 SBs എന്തോ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു അന്ന് തന്നെ. നമ്മുടെ SBന്റെ ചെയർ ആരെന്ന് എനിക്കറിയില്ല. And ഒരാള് ആദ്യമായിട്ട് ഫോൺ വിളിക്കുമ്പോൾ ഒരു ബേസിക് ഒരു കോണ്ടെക്സ്റ്റ് ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, ലൈക്ക് ആരാ എന്തിനാ വിളിക്കുന്നത്, ഒരു ബേസിക് ഒരു മയം ഉണ്ടല്ലോ. So just always remember that, when you're calling someone, especially for the first time, make sure you identify yourself. ഒരു മയത്തിലൊക്കെ സംസാരിക്കണം. Okay. You call and say who you are. Obviously identify with your name. If the person doesn't hear your name, say that again, right? Now identify yourself, like who you are, where are you calling from, what is the context. And along with that, you have to be mindful of your tone. Okay. So especially when it's in a professional context. So let's say you might be a leader, or you might be, a chair, secretary, whatever. You may volunteer in a student branch, and you have to call let's say speaker and ask about their availability. Sorry. ഹോസ്റ്റലിലെ കൂടെ ഉള്ള കൂട്ടുകാരനെ വിളിക്കണ പോലെ അതേപോലെ അവരെ വിളിക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. യു ക്യാൻ കോൾ ദം ദ സെയിം ടോൺ. താൻ എവിടെ എന്ന രീതിയിലൊന്നും ചോദിക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല. സോ യു ഹാവ് ടു ബി റിയലി മൈൻഡ്ഫുൾ ഓഫ് യുവർ ടോൺ. ഓക്കെ. നൗ this is another example I would give you. Again, another call that happened a couple of years back. I got a phone call. It was like, hello, ade Vijay Jeta. Silence. 10-second silence. And then, ഞാൻ വിളിക്കാട്ടോ. Phone clicks. That's it. That's all there was. ഞാൻ ഫോൺ ഇങ്ങനെ വെച്ച് കേട്ട് ലൈക്ക്, ഓ ശരി, എനിക്കില്ല മനസ്സിലായി, ശരി ആയിക്കോട്ടെ. I carried on with my life. പിന്നെ എന്തോ ഉണ്ടായി എനിക്കറിയില്ല. പിന്നെ തിരിച്ചു വിളിച്ചിട്ടും ഇല്ല. പിന്നെ അത് റിലേറ്റഡ് ഒരു ഫോൺ കോളും ഉണ്ടായിട്ടില്ല, ഒന്നും ഉണ്ടായിട്ടില്ല. ആരാ എന്താ ഒന്നും എനിക്ക് ഇപ്പോഴും അറിയില്ല. ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് സ്റ്റിൽ എ സീക്രട്ട്. Okay. So just make sure that, before you call someone, think before you talk. Okay. Especially in a professional context, if you're going to call someone, and let's say if you have a lot of things to say, just ഒന്നോ രണ്ടോ കാര്യങ്ങളാണെങ്കിൽ okay, ഓർത്ത് വെക്കാം. But if you have to convey a lot of things, probably just make a note of the pointers, so that when you talk, you don't forget about what you have to talk. And if you are really nervous about calling someone, no, it's okay to even practice a couple of times. Just act out like വിളിച്ചു, hello, good evening sir, ഞാൻ വിജയ് ആണ്, ഇന്ന് SB എന്ന് വിളിക്കണോ. It's okay to practice, because that's how you build those skills. Okay. ഒരു ജോലിക്ക് കയറിയ ശേഷം അല്ല ഈ സ്കിൽസ് ഒക്കെ ബിൽഡ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്, because probably that's what's going to make the big difference. I've actually seen that's one huge difference I see between a regular student who starts their career and a student who has volunteered with IEEE and has that experience, has that exposure. The changes are drastic. Okay. കാരണം ഞാൻ നാട്ടിലായിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ I also used to, of the various things I've worked, I also used to work as a HR consultant. So I would be a HR consultant for companies. So ചിലപ്പോൾ ചില companies, when they go for campus placements, HR interview, group discussion, ഇതൊക്കെ ഞാൻ നടത്തി കൊടുക്കുമായിരുന്നു for other companies. And it was very visible, like even while talking to a student, or like that student is probably in their final year. Okay. And so they are going to be a working professional in a couple of months. The change was really drastic. It was very visible. Either for a student who has that exposure and experience volunteering with IEEE and making use of those opportunities, the change was really visible. The fourth thing in terms of telephone etiquette is timing. So be really mindful of when you are calling a person. Okay, so obviously the best time is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. working hours because that's like the proper time. Or if you're calling them outside work hours, again, if that person has asked you to call, well and good. Illegal, it's always good to drop a message first. Chumma chadi keri vilikkaruthu. Okay. So presently I'm based in Melbourne. So the time difference between India and Melbourne right now is over 4.5 hours. So let's say if it is 4 p.m. for you, it is 8:30 p.m. for me. Okay, so like because I'm still pretty close to the IEEE community back in Kerala, I still do take a couple of sessions here and there. ഒരു പ്രാവശ്യം എനിക്ക് എൻ്റെ ഇവിടുത്തെ രാത്രി വെളുപ്പിനെ 2:30 call വന്നു about IEEE session. Okay, and I'm like, this is like, I'm not in the same time zone. Okay, കുറച്ച് ഒന്ന് അന്വേഷിച്ചിട്ട് സമയം എത്ര എന്നൊക്കെ. And I'm like, ഇവിടെ 2:30 പറഞ്ഞാലും still even in India it's like what 10 p.m. Okay, രാത്രി 10 മണിക്കൊക്കെ ഒരാൾ വിളിച്ച ഒരു സെഷന്റെ കാര്യം ചോദിക്കണതൊക്കെ ലൈക്ക് ഒരു മര്യാദയില്ല. Okay, to be very honest, like to be brutally honest, അത് മര്യാദയില്ല. Okay, so these things, the thing is, at times, like I say, the common sense is not so common in the parallel. So you have to be really careful about the timing also. And when I say timing, clock time, the situation, the environment you're in. So some of the most weird calls I've ever received. One was, again, all of these are actual examples. One was a student calling up. Our food okay. Food കഴിക്കാനായിട്ട് വായിൽ ഫുഡ് ഉണ്ട് എന്നിട്ട് കഴിക്കാം. ഒരു സെക്കൻഡ് അവിടെ ചവയ്ക്കണത് എനിക്ക് കേൾക്കാം. ആൻഡ് ഐ എം ലൈക്ക് ഐ ആക്ച്വലി കട്ട് ദ കോൾ. ഐ വാസ് ലൈക്ക് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു അതെ ഫുഡ് കഴിച്ചിട്ട് വിളിച്ചു പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഞാൻ കട്ട് ചെയ്തു. അതേപോലെ നാട്ടിലായിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ രാത്രി 1:30 കോൾ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഓക്കെ, നോട്ട് എക്സാക്ട്ലി സെഷൻ റിലേറ്റഡ്, പക്ഷെ ലൈക്ക് അങ്ങനത്തെ എന്തോ IEEE റിലേറ്റഡ് എന്തോ ഒരു സംഭവമായിരുന്നു. അതേപോലെ തന്നെ കാർത്തിക്, ആരുടെയോ മൈക്ക് ഒന്ന് മ്യൂട്ട് ആക്കാവോ? Yes,
Thomas. Sorry for that, sir.
No worries. Yep. So അതുപോലെ വേറൊരു കോള് വന്നത് was someone again ഇതുപോലെ ഒരു session or workshop related എന്തോ ഒരു കോൾ ആയിരുന്നു. And the person was calling from a movie theater. അതായത് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു ഇന്റർവെൽ ആയിരുന്നു. ഓബിയസ്ലി പടത്തിനിടയിൽ വിളിക്കാനുള്ള അത്ര ആത്മാർത്ഥത അതൊന്നും ആർക്കും ഇല്ല. സോ ഇന്റർവെൽ ആയിരുന്നു. ബട്ട് നാട്ടിലറിയാലോ ഇന്റർവെല്ലിന്റെ സമയത്ത് ഇഷ്ടംപോലെ ആഡ് എല്ലാം ഉണ്ടാവുമല്ലോ. ആൻഡ് ലൈക്ക് ദാറ്റ് നോയ്സ് ഇസ് ദയർ. അപ്പോൾ അഗൈൻ മൂവി തിയേറ്ററിന്റെ ഇടയിൽ. And the fourth one, which I'm assuming the person was in their hostel. ഒരു കോൾ വന്നു, ഞാൻ ഫോൺ എടുത്ത പാടെ ഫസ്റ്റ് കേൾക്കണത് ഇങ്ങനെ നല്ല സൗമ്യമായ മലയാളം ഭാഷ, ABCD MP എല്ലാം കേട്ട് ഞാനിങ്ങനെ കേട്ടിട്ട് അന്തം വിട്ട് എന്താ ഞാൻ ആരോട് എന്തോ ഉപദ്രവം ചെയ്ത് അവിടെ തെരുവിളിച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞപ്പോ. സോ തിങ് ഈസ് ഫോൺ എന്റെ കയ്യിലായിരുന്നു, ഞാൻ ഗെയിം എന്തോ കളിക്കായിരുന്നു. അപ്പൊ കോൾ വന്നു, അപ്പൊ തന്നെ എടുത്തു. ഐ എം അസ്യൂമിങ് ദ പേഴ്സൺ മൈറ്റ് നോട്ട് ഹാവ് കൺസിഡർ ദ ഫാക്ട് ദാറ്റ് ഫോൺ എന്റെ കയ്യിലായിരിക്കും, അപ്പൊ തന്നെ എടുക്കും. അപ്പൊ അവിടെ തെറി വിളിച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ദാറ്റ് ഗൈ റിയലൈസ് ദാറ്റ് ഓക്കെ ഞാൻ ഫോണിൽ ഉണ്ട്, സോറി ചേട്ടാ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞു. But you see, like, okay, വേറെ ഒന്നും ഉണ്ടായില്ല, but still, that does not give a really good impression, right? So all those things, so the timing in the parameter is not just about the time on the clock, it's about that environment you are in. You have to be careful of. Yep. And again, so when at work in the parba, again, I mean from a professional context, just a couple of small pointers. So one, always return the calls you have missed. I would say again, from a professional context, if you know it's a professional call, or let's say, when you start your career, you have a professional phone number, a professional work phone on. So always return the calls because you never know in the context. The second thing I would say is as much as possible. But in as much as possible, answer by the third ring, because there is this culture that if they call and the person doesn't answer by the third ring, they assume the person is busy, so they cut the call. Okay, ആരും മൊത്തം കോൾ തീർന്നാറെ എല്ലാവരും വിളിക്കാറില്ല ഒരു പ്രൊഫഷണൽ കോണ്ടെക്സ്റ്റ്. Third point on that would be, if you're putting someone on hold, don't put on hold for more than 1 minute. If you feel that whatever, like the reason why you're putting someone on hold, if you think it's going to take time, just tell them, I'll find out this information, or I'll get this done, or whatever, and I'll give you a call back. So no, don't put someone on hold for more than 1 minute. And sorry, and another really important point, whenever you, let's say, either when you're calling someone or even when you receive a call, whatever be the context, make sure you provide enough information. Again, especially when you're calling someone else regarding any kind of a thing, any kind of your requirement, make sure you have enough information in hand. Make sure you have considered enough scenarios that okay, അവര് ഇങ്ങനത്തെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ചോദിക്കാൻ ചാൻസ് ഉണ്ട്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അവർക്ക് ഇങ്ങനത്തെ ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ വേണ്ടി വരും എന്ന രീതിയിൽ. ഓക്കെ, പണ്ട് എനിക്ക് ഓർമ്മയുണ്ട്, പണ്ട് കുറെ നാള് മുമ്പ് ഒരു പ്രാവശ്യം ഇതേ റിലേറ്റീവ്ലി അഗൈൻ ഒരു സെഷൻ റിലേറ്റഡ് എന്തൊരു കോൾ ആയിരുന്നു. And so obviously it was not virtual. It was when it was much pre-COVID era, when people could meet face to face in the summit. And they asked me for my availability date in the region. And so I asked them like when is the session timed? Because I have to obviously plan my travel. If it is a morning session, I have to go and stay there the day before. Okay. And they were like, അത് തീരുമാനിച്ചിട്ടില്ല കേട്ടോ, അതിനെ ചോദിച്ചിട്ട് പറയാം. Like, ശരി, ഡേറ്റ് മാത്രം അറിയാം, വെന്യൂ മാത്രം അറിഞ്ഞിട്ട് കാര്യമില്ലല്ലോ, സെഷൻ എപ്പോഴാണെന്ന് അറിയണ്ടേ. So no, it's kind of like you have to make sure that you have enough information before you call someone. Now, quickly moving on to just email etiquettes, just again covering some of the basics. First, very important point, whenever you send an email, introduce yourself. Either majority alkarka ariyam, but I've still seen a lot of cases where for some reason people still forget. A lot of people think that because they have an email signature, okay, that is fine. Paksha angane alla. Okay, because end of the day, an email that you send, that is also a conversation, right? So you have to start that conversation, not especially if you're sending a person an email for the first time, you have to start that conversation by introducing yourself. So that's definitely necessary, right? Second point, never email when you're angry. Okay, so irrespective of what email you might have received, never ever email when you're angry. It might be towards the person who has sent that email. It might be your generic, say, state of mind at that point of time. പക്ഷെ ഒരിക്കലും ദേഷ്യപ്പെട്ടിട്ട് ഇമെയിൽ അയക്കരുത്. I myself know of a friend who lost his job because he received an email from his manager about, the manager was saying about he hadn't done some stuff properly. He was having a really bad day, and like the stuff that was not done, that's actually avante responsibility allarunnu, vera oralde responsibility aayirunnu. But then he emailed back, and he used very I'd say not so unparliamentary language ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് യൂസ് ചെയ്തു. And that effectively, end of the day, long story short, it effectively resulted in him being fired. Because email aanu, so like it's written there, and I'll actually come back to that again, the stuff you put in writing. And even personally, in the case learning, so when I was in India, so graduate I while I was volunteering with Kerala Section, I actually had my own startup, and it was a service-based startup. So I was providing services to clients. I started the startup when I was 21. So എന്താ പറയാ, അത്യാവശ്യം ചോരത്തളപ്പൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. So in the initial time, couple of years, there were moments when ഒരു client എന്തെങ്കിലുമൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ചിലപ്പോൾ ദേഷ്യമൊക്കെ വരും. And I'll be like, പുല്ല് ഇത് തിരിച്ചും ഇതേപോലെയൊക്കെ ആക്കണം, ഞാനെന്ത് ചെറ്റത്ര കാണിക്കണം, ഞാൻ ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ചെയ്യാമെന്ന് really. But and obviously as time went by, sense prevailed. But actually ഞാനും ആ ഒരു തെറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. I once actually emailed a client, like I wouldn't say angry, but yeah, I didn't use any bad words or anything, but it was an angry email, right? You could definitely make it out from the tone of that. End of the day, our client, obviously I lost the client, but that was a lesson. Okay, client പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യം completely തെറ്റായിരുന്നു. Like in terms of right and wrong, the right was on my part, but what I did wrong was, irrespective of the situation, I shouldn't have emailed them in an angry tone. So I learned things the hard way. So just make sure that irrespective of what the context is, the email icon or even your own state of mind, never ever email or even message when you're angry. And as far as possible, never call also when you're angry. Third point, common sense. Common sense is actually not very common. Even when it comes to normal conversations, when you speak to people, you have seen at times common sense is not so common. And I think that is also of value when it comes to emails, right? And pala examples at at times, for example, it's not as much about common sense as it's about being careful. Okay, just being aware about what you're doing. I received an email addressing as dear George. And I was like, Ari George, like my email ID and the email ID in the pair. Okay, and that was my official email ID previously. And the pair, the first word then the pair and Vijay, and the email was dear George. So I'm assuming it was for a series of workshops and the person was just using the same content to send to everyone and they forgot to change the name. But all those things are like common sense with it. I'll again state an example. This is, if I remember right, this is from 2016, I think, this example. So, sorry, scan, someone is unmuted. Yep, thank you. Thanks for that. So, on 12th March, I received an email saying that, dear Atta, are you available for a session in our SB on 23 March? So it was like slightly longer. Context luckily the context and all was there, which SB, sorry, slides, yep, which SB and all the context was there. I'm just kind of shortening it up. So I was like, dear Atta, available in session SB on 23rd March. I was like, so within half an hour I responded, thanks for your email, 23 March looks good. What is the topic you have in mind? This is on 12th March, so the session is 11 days later. Pinne oru response vannatilla. And then on 2nd April, I receive an email saying that, dear Atta, thank you for your session. And I was like, I know. I was like, oh, I also responded, you're welcome. I thoroughly enjoyed your hospitality. I have no idea what actually happened. But, obviously, like, to be very honest, I don't know what happened there. If they sent an email to me, like, as a wrong person, and then they found the right person, and then thank you, I can maybe they again sent it to the wrong person. I have no idea what happened. Okay, still guessing what happened. But these kind of things, that that basic awareness, basic common sense, you have to be careful especially when it comes to emails, because that's when you put things in writing. Now, the first line rule, and this is something, let's say, this is more of a suggestion from my end, which I tend to practice, is when you send an email, irrespective of how much stuff you have to convey, in the first line, especially if you're sending it for the first time to a person, in the first line, try to convey, obviously, introduce yourself, try to convey the context, and try to convey why, like, why you're emailing. Okay, so let's say, for example, if you would like to invite a speaker for a session, introduce yourself, say that you're conducting this event or this series of events or workshop, okay, in a context that in a professional development or whatever, and we would like to invite you as a speaker and get to know about your availability, etc. Pinne in the following paragraphs, no parayumbo valchari ezhuduruthu, but still in the following paragraphs or upcoming lines, you can provide more context as to endan exactly uddeshikkunne, aarayirikkum audience, and all those kind of things. This is something as I mentioned earlier, you have to be really careful about what you put in writing. It's good to build that habit right now, because once you start your career, you'll realize that you have to be very, very, very careful, once you get a job and stuff, what you put in writing. Okay, other legal aspect in them avam, and even from various other perspectives, even in terms of committing something. Okay, you have to really be careful about what you put in writing. In the case, for example, when I was running my startup, I took up a client's work and I sent them an email saying that, okay, like this would be the rate for that. Okay, and other actually calculate the shari'ala. So I actually quoted probably 1/5 of what the work was actually worth. Okay, so I email quote work 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 when I sent him the invoice, I charged him like what the actual price was, and then he came back and said, Pakshay, this is what you said, email, this is what you said. And when I checked back, I was like, that is true. So if I'm like, oh, either this is not the actual amount, this is the amount of work we have done and all that, maybe the client might have paid the actual amount. Okay, maybe. പക്ഷേ I'm pretty sure I would never get their work again, or that's actually a bad impression on me. Okay, and because I put it in writing, like I obviously can't go back. I can't say that, oh, that's not what I said. So avide nashtam saichu, but like I stuck to my word, because especially because I put it in writing, I stuck to my word. 1/5 of the payment എടുത്തു. Okay, but then especially again with that example, I was really careful, especially അങ്ങനത്തെ കാര്യങ്ങളാകുമ്പോൾ like പൈസന്റെ കാര്യമായാലും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ in terms of any commitments, professional, personal, whatever context, any commitments and all that, never to be really careful about what you put in writing. And that's why even നേരത്തെ ഇത് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോൾ don't email when you're angry എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോഴും, you never know what you're putting in writing, and you actually never know that anything that you put in writing from a purely legal perspective, അതിപ്പോ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അറിയാത്ത തുടങ്ങണമെന്ന് പോലും ഇല്ല, even as a student, even as anyone, okay, what you stuff, anything you put in writing, അതിപ്പോ email ആയാലും ഒരു text message ആയാലും ഒരു WhatsApp message ആയാലും, you can never understand the legal implications of it on a larger scale. Okay, obviously it depends on the context, but still. So that's why you have this habit, build this habit right now about being careful about what you put in writing. Okay, always. Another point, smileys are not very friendly. Emojis, definitely not. Okay, unless you are emailing your partner, your girlfriend, boyfriend, or your friends. Pakshe, from a professional context, never use smileys. Emojis, definitely never. അല്ലാതെ ഒരു കുറച്ച് ഒരു കാഷ്വൽ ആയിട്ട് വെക്കണമെങ്കിൽ സ്മൈലീസ്, ജസ്റ്റ് ദാറ്റ് that കോളൻ ആൻഡ് ബ്രാക്കറ്റിനെ സംഭവം ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, അത് വേണമെങ്കിൽ പിന്നെയും യൂസ് ചെയ്യാം, ബട്ട് ഓൺ വെരി റയർ ഒക്കേഷൻസ്. ഓക്കെ, smileys, as you imagine them, they're not as friendly as you think they are from an email communication point of view. Again, couple of quick pointers. I'm pretty sure I don't need to say this, but still, avoid SMS language whenever you're sending an email, irrespective of who you're sending to, whatever it is. Avoid SMS language completely. Next point is make sure you have proper grammar. So make sure you have proper grammar. So ഒരു email type ചെയ്ത ശേഷം make sure you read it again. Okay, വീണ്ടും വായിച്ചിട്ട് make sure that grammar ഒന്നും തെറ്റില്ല, spelling mistake ഒന്നുമില്ല, അങ്ങനെ ഒന്നുമില്ല, എല്ലാം proper ആയിട്ട് നോക്കുക. Have proper salutation. So when I say, so dear sir, dear ma'am, or dear Vijay, whatever it is. So that varies from company to company, organization to organization, country to country. So for example, any email I send to someone senior, it was always dear sir, dear ma'am. Okay, whereas Australia, what I understood is here people don't use that. They don't use sir, ma'am. It's always first name, irrespective of who you are emailing, how much senior they are. But maybe the prime minister email but I use the first name. Okay, because that's the culture here. So you have to be like use proper salutation based on all these contexts. Have a clear subject line. Okay, so never send an email without a subject line. Never ever. Etra cherry email ending never send an email without a proper subject line, because it's highly unprofessional. The subject line illata or email highly unprofessional, irrespective of the fact how well you have written the email, how good the grammar is. With a proper subject line, you never know, it might not even be open. Use CC and BCC sensibly. So now understand the difference between what is carbon copy and what is blind carbon copy, and when use that knowledge around, okay, or mail who is a two, okay, two la arednam, CC la arednam, BCC la arednam. Have a clear understanding of that. So two is ideally to the person or persons to whom it is focused on. If it is one person, or if it is 2 or 3 people, they should be in two. CC, carbon copy, goes to people who probably do not need to action it, but then let's say for their information in the kind of a redealer. That's who you should put in CC. And BCC, blind carbon copy, is you want to send it just so that the person has a copy, but then the other people don't know that in your email. And the last point, we have to get to the point. Okay, or email na parayumbo or essay writing competition alla. Okay, the shorter the email, the higher chances of the person acting upon that email or responding to that email. I'll again give you an example. This is a blurred screenshot of an email I received again a few years back. Okay, screenshot kanda ariyam, it's pretty long, right? It's really long. Basically, the essence of the email in there, they were asking my availability for a session on a particular date. Last line la. Okay, the rest of the whole stuff is basically around how they came up with the plan of the event. Okay, what all, how they found funding through their college management for that event, how many volunteers are involved in organizing. Okay, there is no need for me to have that context. Okay, and especially when it is that first email about an event that you're basically asking my availability or anyone's availability on a particular date. Okay, so baki paranilla, baki Ramayanatinte avade avashyamilla. So just get to the point. Okay, understand why are you sending this. If you are writing all this, Ramayanam or whatever, think from the receiver's perspective. Do they need all this information? Avarku ee ella information avashyam undo. Okay, just think in that perspective. So again, just summing that up, I would say try to keep your emails as short as possible, as crisp as possible, because that increases the chances of your email being read and you getting a response, or even whatever you're asking for, that thing getting action. Just quickly moving, because I know I'm over 30 minutes, but just quickly moving about some stuff. So in terms of the difficult stuff, and especially because many of you would be either are presently student branch leaders or are going to be student branch leaders, people would be looking up to you. You would be leading a team of, of other students. So there would be moments when you have to deliver criticism. And this is a really important skill to have. Okay, not just as a student branch volunteer, but definitely in your career going forward. So obviously, this is a session in itself. Okay, but just main important that 4 points parayanengil. One, whenever you are confronting someone or the criticism parayanengil, just be upfront. ഉള്ള കാര്യത്തിലേക്ക് നേരിട്ടെത്ത്. Okay, don't beat around the bush. അത് ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ വന്ന അങ്ങനെ എന്നല്ല. Just be upfront, talk directly to the person, and always whenever you're criticizing someone, or you need to have that sensitive discussion, always do it one-on-one and in private. ആൾക്കാരുടെ മുമ്പിൽ വെച്ചിട്ട് ഒരിക്കലും ചെയ്യരുത്. Okay, so be upfront about what you're talking about. Second thing is avoid blaming. So instead of saying that, why did you do this, or why did you not do this, എന്തുകൊണ്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ ചെയ്തില്ല, അത് ചെയ്ത് തെറ്റല്ലേ എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുന്നതിന് പകരം just change the narrative. Don't focus on the person. Don't focus on the fact that the person did a mistake. Focus on what the impact was, or focus on what was done. Focus on probably how it made you feel. Okay, let's say even from a personal aspect, if a person did something and hurt you, instead of just saying that, nee endana angane cheyde, other because of what you did, it hurt me. Okay, instead of saying something like that, just say that, that incident hurt me. Okay, try to never use criticizing the case you and the work in the maximum focus on the problem, not on the person. Okay, the better you become at this skill of of confronting people and conveying the matter without making them feel attacked. Okay, that is a huge skill set to have, especially when you get into the industry in your career. And again, whenever you're delivering any kind of feedback or criticism, use the sandwich model. So sandwich model, and you start with something positive, then you give all that criticism, and then you end with something positive. Okay, so a positive CTA on the call to action, keep that in the end. So start with positive, okay, and then end with something positive, because people generally tend to remember most what you said first and what you said last, especially what you said last. So anganathe or situation varumbo, always end with something that can be done to make things better. Okay, so let's say you are the chair of a student branch, and ending or work cheyanayirunnu, and your one volunteer did it completely wrong, they messed things up and all that. So instead of give them the feedback they want, a criticism, whatever it is, give them that, but in the end, don't end on a negative tone. In the end, just say that, see, next time just ask your senior volunteers. I have complete confidence in you. I'm pretty sure the next time I'm 100% sure you will do it the best way possible. Okay, so always ഒരു ഇൻസ്പയറിംഗ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു പോസിറ്റീവ് കോൾ ടു ആക്ഷൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ ഒരു രീതിയിൽ ഫിനിഷ് ചെയ്യും. And just final some few pointers about personal branding, and the reason I kind of included this here again is because ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു സ്റ്റുഡൻ്റ് ആയിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ, if you start building your, especially your online presence, if you start working on your online presence, it helps a lot even when, let's say, you're searching for a job, even when you apply for a job, and in terms of how you stand out from the rest of the applicants. In all cases, personal branding becomes really important. So the sooner you start, the sooner you'll realize what is your sweet spot, what works for you, what platforms work for you. And when I say personal branding, I don't mean that, Instagram reels upload, TikTok videos, so I'm purely saying from a professional perspective. So no, Twitter, LinkedIn, and the real. So one thing is, see, you have to create content irrespective of what field you are in. If you have to show your expertise, you might be a second year engineering student, but you still have an expertise. You still have a set of skills, okay, that define you, that make you different from others. Okay, so that's why it becomes or a highly tech, highly networked, highly social media centric or a job market. You have to sell yourself. Okay, you have to sell yourself with the skills you have, with the skill set you have. And in that case, it becomes really important how you're putting yourself out there. Okay, and your scenario, I'll just purely work from a LinkedIn perspective. Okay, so you need to start creating content that resonates with your skill set, that resonates with what you want to achieve in your career. Okay, let's say if you want to become an electronics engineer, ചുമ്മാ പട്ടിയും പൂച്ചന്റെ വീഡിയോസ് ലിങ്ക്ഡിനിൽ ഇട്ടിട്ട് ഒരു 10-200 ലൈക്ക് കിട്ടിയിട്ട് കാര്യമില്ല. Okay, you post content related to your learnings, related to your field. 1-2 ലൈക്ക് കിട്ടുള്ളൂ, സാരില്ല, അത് മതി. But then in that process of creating content, you're reading stuff, you are taking that effort to probably concise a given topic, a given matter, put it in writing. All those little skills actually add up over a period of time. Okay, and our cherry skill sets on the low that make a huge difference as time goes forward, and especially when you are in that initial stage of a career, that the job no quirkim, or maybe in that early career stage. Okay, and so our aspect, I'm saying that, sell yourself, but like don't oversell. Just ചുമ്മാ ബടായും അടിച്ചിട്ട് കാര്യമില്ല, ഞാൻ സംഭവമാണ് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് കാര്യമില്ല. ഓക്കെ, ഇടയ്ക്ക് ഇപ്പൊ ലിങ്ക്ഡിൻ കേസിൽ ഇടയ്ക്ക് ആഴ്ചയിൽ 2 ആഴ്ചയിൽ ഒരു പ്രാവശ്യം പറഞ്ഞോ നിങ്ങൾ സംഭവമാണ്, കുഴപ്പമില്ല. But other than that, in term, like, try to provide content which is of help. And that's actually my last point, helping others selflessly in the real. But yeah, so in LinkedIn case, LinkedIn, make sure you're comfortable with LinkedIn, make sure you understand how LinkedIn works. And our I'm like, make sure it's always good to have a blog or a portfolio. Okay, depends on that, or a website on blogger, WordPress, Medium. Okay, now just here platforms, all of these are free platforms where you can blog. Okay, either use here, because even when I think the case of Medium, okay, Medium has a very strong blogging community, but chumma in the pure bloggers matrala. There are lots of techies out there, people who write about electronics, people who write about artificial intelligence, people who write pure hardcore tech stuff about data science, machine learning, okay, electrical engineering, user interface design, lots and lots of stuff. So blogging in the Keikumo, don't think that it is only for people who have writing as a career. Okay, people blogging a portfolio is important for every single professional out there, because that's the way you can actually it's a good example of showing your skill set. Okay, and probably the last point with which I'll finish here is, and this is something I have found to be really helpful in my career, is help others selflessly. Okay, the more you try to help others, whatever it is, like selfless item. Okay, etra help cheyan pattum. Okay, help you if you can, just do it, just help people. Okay, it can be any way. Maybe someone puts up a LinkedIn post saying that they need help with something. If you can do it. Okay, or someone puts a LinkedIn post saying that they need information about something. If you know about it, just do it. Okay, പറയാൻ കാരണം എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ, the world understands people who are helping others selflessly. Okay, those people are identified as genuine people. Okay, that helps you build genuine relationships that in terms can lead to opportunities which you have no idea can come out of anywhere and nowhere. Okay, so our karthil, I mean, for me it has worked a lot. Just trying to help others, personally and professionally has worked a lot. Okay, and that's why I always recommend that just try to help others. Maybe just 10 minutes in a week, open LinkedIn or open Twitter and see that okay, 10 minutes, is there anyone I can help? Okay, with whatever stuff that they put, is there anyone I can help with? Just do that. 10 minutes a week, more than enough. Okay, but like, it's good to have that habit of trying to help others selflessly. And that actually is a really important thing you will learn in your journey, in your career journey, as you let's say, develop yourself professionally. Okay, that's one thing you'll eventually understand through various things that happen in your personal life, in your professional life. Like, where alkare help cheyumbo, it's like karma. When you do good to others, it always comes back. And that's probably all from my end. That's my email ID. I'll put it in chat also. Feel free to reach out anytime you have any questions or any IEEE related, be topic samsaya related, and then feel free to reach out. I'm also there on all whatever social media channels as we just called, preferably LinkedIn and Twitter, and the favorite but I'm available everywhere else as we just called. And that's probably all from my end. Shankar, over to you. Any questions? Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Hello. I don't know. Shankar, can you hear me?
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, Shankar.
Okay. System is actually a bit slow. So hope I'm audible and fine. I think you are having still trouble in hearing me.
There's a slight, let's say, I wouldn't say disturbance. Your voice is slightly breaking in between, but yeah, just feel free to continue.
Okay. So meanwhile, I will switch to my mobile as well.
Sure.
If you feel any trouble from my end, because communication is the key, right? So that's what you're talking right now. So we should be role models in that.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So yeah, meanwhile, if anyone has any questions, I would say feel free to drop in the chat. And the email ID, LinkedIn link I've put in the chat. If you want to reach out or anything, just feel free to reach out. Yep. I see a question there. So Shankar, like while you are sorting out your mic, I see a question in the chat. If you're okay with it, I'll just answer that. So how do we land up on a job through LinkedIn? There is no easy answer. It's so you go on LinkedIn. If you ask, you randomly message people, can I get a job? No one is going to get you a job. They'll probably hate you from your first impression itself. They'll probably block you. Okay. So in real life, how do you ask a person for a job, or in job reporting? How do you ask a person for a favor? First, you build a relationship. Okay, you build a relationship. You get to know them. They get to know you. Our relationship building. Okay, the same way you can ask a friend or a relative for a favor. Okay, our same concepts apply to a stranger also. If you want to ask them for a job or any favor or whatever, there needs to be some kind of a relationship. Okay, so LinkedIn jobs portal directly directly jobs apply. That's completely different. Okay, one is building relationships. Now, when I say building relationships, it's easy to say, it's difficult to do. Okay, so that's where probably I would say it helps in helping people. Okay, so one strategy which has not always, but at times worked for me is, if there is a person with whom I would like to build a connection, add them or a LinkedIn request icon. Okay, I'll first send the LinkedIn request and other message I can message I'll be like, see, I'll give a context of how I came to know the person. Short title. I'll give a context of how I came to know the person, and say something like, I really look forward to connecting with you and learning from your experience. Okay. 99 out of 100 cases, the people accept the connection request. And then I closely follow what they post. Our LinkedIn and post, and I closely follow that. Okay. So for example, a couple of months back, so and professionally a relationship build and I was following them on LinkedIn. I saw that they had asked for a certain research paper. Okay, not IEEE database where database research paper. Okay, and the person had asked like, does someone have access to this? Can someone provide me with a copy? Now, because I work in a university, I have access to all the databases. I was like, oh, Sherry, I just searched with the name, downloaded a PDF copy, and I just LinkedIn la pullike message ayittu parnu that I understand this is what you were looking for. Let me know if I can help with anything else. That's it. I don't know. Okay. So that actually, like, obviously that was a starting point. That person was really thankful. Okay. And that actually helped me build a relationship with that person. Okay. So now I have a relationship with that person. Okay. And a human psychology perspective, that person would probably feel inclined that at some point, because I help them selflessly, okay, selflessly, at some point when probably if I ask them for a favor or if I ask them for some help, they would be more inclined to actually help me out. Okay. Okay, I like that person has now been a connection for almost a year. Like I haven't asked them for any help or anything. Okay. I genuinely actually want to learn from what they're doing, with the idea in mind that, probably at some point in my career, that person would prove to be of help. So, long story short, how do you land on a job through LinkedIn? It is not a 1-day process, or it is not a 2-day process. It is something that takes a lot of time. Okay. Maybe you're lucky. No, maybe you just you message 100 people on LinkedIn saying that, sir, can I get a job in your company or whatever. Maybe if you're lucky, one person might be like, they were like, oh, okay, let's send me your CV, let me look. But yeah, that happens very rarely. So Irene, I'm assuming I kind of gave you an idea. It's not a sprint race, it is a marathon.
Hello.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening. I'm sorry, I didn't realize who is this.
So, myself, Arfaz Khan from AWH Engineering College, and I'm
Yes,
a first year electronics student. So, sir, as we are talking about professional development, right? So, as an aspiring leader, we will be leading teams and doing pretty much things. So, is there any advice on time management and resolving conflicts? Any of that? Any advice you would like to give?
See, again, so both the things that you said, time management and conflict resolution, both of them are kind of like stuff that probably need 1 hour each to be explained properly. Okay. So time management, there is no right answer about how do you manage time. Okay. Because the value of time, again, philosophical item. Okay. Because the value of time is different for different. Okay. When you say, how do I manage time? Every person has a different strategy. Okay. There is no one strategy that works for everyone. Okay. Correct context. Okay. So when you say, like, how do I manage time? Okay. From your perspective, I'm just an assumption. It would be like, okay, how do I manage time between my usual, say, assignments and college work and the time between and the IEEE volunteering? Okay. So you always need to have some context around why you need that time management. Okay. So you definitely, it would make sense to make sure that, you need to realize that, okay, IEEE volunteering is my second priority. My first priority, I'm university pass eventually at some point jolly kittam or whatever. That is my first priority. Like pass that is my first priority. So identifying your priorities is probably step 1 in time management. Okay, what is your priority? And then based on your priority, you give time. Okay. To be very honest, I was spending, even when I was working, even when I was a student, even when I was working, I was spending a lot of time volunteering with IEEE. When I say a lot, to the extent that it was actually affecting me professionally, which is actually not a good thing to do. Okay. Eventually, I understood that, IEEE is not my priority number 1. My priority number 1 is to build my career, is to, professionally develop myself. So then I started keeping a bit of track that, okay, I started building a habit that IEEE emails I kind of started making sure that in a regular work day, and work and IEEE emails nokilla. Okay, I'll look at my IEEE emails only after that, that 9 to 5 working hours nokullu. Okay, and even if, let's say, I'm spending time volunteering, instead of trying to spend 20-30 hours a week, I'll just make sure that I spend not more than, say, probably 10 hours a week. Okay, in total. Okay, so it's around building those boundaries. So time management case, the first thing is identifying a priority. Then it's about building those boundaries. Then it's also about building a schedule. Okay, say for example, apart from my day job, my IEEE volunteering, as I said, I also run a consultancy called Typewriter Media. Now, ഇതെല്ലാം മാനേജ് ചെയ്യണമെങ്കിൽ a bit of time management ആണ്. At the same time ചുമ്മാ ഇരുന്ന് കുറച്ച് നെറ്റ്ഫ്ലിക്സ് കാണണമെങ്കിൽ that is also part of my schedule. Schedule എന്ന് പറയാൻ എഴുതി വെച്ചിട്ടില്ല, that is important. No, mental health, relaxing, it is a really important thing. So what I do is I make sure Monday to Friday ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ കൺസൾട്ടൻസി അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ബ്ലോഗ് റിലേറ്റഡ് കാര്യങ്ങൾ നോക്കാറില്ല. Saturday and Sunday is the only time I look at stuff related to my consultancy work or my blog. Okay, so our schedule ഉണ്ടാക്കുക. So there are a lot of there are a lot of things you need to do. First, you need to understand that context. Okay, so one priority manslaka, boundaries build your schedule. These are these are the three basic things that come to my mind. Like personal example, the second thing, conflict resolution. Now, kind of did cover some of the topics that criticize effectively criticize very similar to conflict in terms of the situation. Or conflict resolution case again, always separate the people and the problem. At times you might be in a conflict directly with someone else. At times, as you said, or a leadership position you might be trying to mediate a conflict between 2 or 3 or a set of different people. So in this scenario, always separate the problem and the people. Okay, if something that we see a real life example, okay, especially Kerala and all across India, we generally do not tend to like people who follow a certain political party. Okay, generally ബാക്കി എല്ലാവരും അവർക്ക് ഒരു certain പേരും കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അവൻ അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു ടൈപ്പ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ by default there is this thing that അത് ഇങ്ങനത്തെ ഒരു ടൈപ്പ് ആയിരിക്കും, നമുക്ക് അവനെ ഇഷ്ടാവില്ല. Okay, the problem there is we tend to define a person by just one of their ideology. Okay, ideology problem aano alle, it's a different thing. Okay, but we are basically combining the problem and the person. Okay, adu orikkalum cheyyiru. Okay, you always keep the person and the problem separate. That is rule number 1 of criticism or conflict management. Always keep that separate. Okay, and also as a leader, okay, as a leader in a context as a leader, whenever you're trying to mediate a conflict, always try to understand, do you have a conflict of interest? Okay, so let's say maybe as chair of your SB, നിങ്ങളുടെ vice chair secretary തമ്മിൽ അടിയായി തല്ലായി, okay, like വാക്ക് തല്ലായി. Okay, and as a chair it is your responsibility to mediate it. But again, for example, I just parana, but let's say the vice chair is your best friend and the secretary is your girlfriend. Okay, you cannot be impartial there. It is difficult for you to be impartial. Random scenario, or even if one person is your best friend, the other person is SB or a volunteer, you cannot be impartial. It is difficult to be impartial there, because by default, personally, you're inclined to one or the other person. So as a leader, that is also one thing you need to understand. Whenever you are trying to manage a conflict, do you have any conflict of interest there? Can you take those decisions or handle that situation in a purely impartial manner? Okay, so anganathe korchu കാര്യങ്ങൾ you have, and again, you need to be really careful about the words you use. നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ you എന്ന് യൂസ് ചെയ്ത് focus on the problem, those things. So പെട്ടെന്ന് പറയുന്ന രീതിയിൽ I hope കുറച്ച് പോയിന്റ്സ് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. Arfaz അല്ലേ, wasn't that Arfaz?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Sure.
So one more question I would like to ask is that is there any motivational strategies you would like to advise? Means in a leader's context, is there any motivational strategies to lead the team?
So okay, let me clarify the question. So when you say motivation strategies, is it to motivate yourself as a leader, or is it to motivate your team?
Both as a leader and for the team.
Okay.
Equally.
Like I'm sorry, I'll have to disappoint you in this. There is no answer to this, because it varies individually. Okay, so what works for me as a leader need not necessarily work for you in terms of motivation. Okay, what works for your team might not necessarily work for my team. So it is purely context based. Again, context in the work is really important. Okay, so let's say if you are looking at motivating yourself, the first thing you need to ask is, what is the effective outcome of motivating yourself? Okay, if you stay motivated, or if you want to motivate yourself, outcome and the uddeshikane, do you let's say, or maybe you are a SB volunteer right now, do you want to motivate yourself enough so that end of the day, in 2 years time, or by the time you're in your 3rd year, you become the SB chair? Or do you want to motivate yourself so that you can build a really good profile of yourself, so that by the time you complete your 4th year, you complete your final year, you have a strong professional presence. Okay, so you need to understand the goals of that motivation. Our motivation kittite endonde. Okay, once you understand why you need to be motivated and what is the goal, then you can work on the strategies. Okay, again, it's very personal, and even for personally also, things that would motivate me 5 years back is completely different from things that motivate me right now. Okay, but 5 years back, I hated wasting even a single minute. Okay, every single minute I would be like, I have to read something, or I have to be making use of my time. Okay, what I didn't realize that eventually that was a major reason for my burnout. Presently, I'm like, I don't feel demotivated. പണ്ട് അരമണിക്കൂർ ചുമ്മാ ഇരുന്നാൽ ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് എനിക്ക് തലയിൽ അഫക്ട് ആയിരുന്നു. I'll be like, I wasted half an hour, what am I doing with my life എന്ന രീതിയിലായിരുന്നു. ഇപ്പൊ I'm like, no, half an hour ഒന്നും ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല, കുഴപ്പമില്ല, that is important for my mental health. Okay, so all those, it's a mixture of a lot of things. The realization of why you need to be motivated, the realization of what you do with your time, and that same thing applies to when you're trying to motivate, let's say, your team. Avരുടെ goals എന്താണ്? Okay, as a team, what is their goal? Or individually, what is their goal? Maybe when you, let's say, for example, again, let's say you're a SB chair and you want to motivate your team. Team day motivation endana? Do you want to become the most active SB in Kerala section in the next 1 year? Or is it like, last year your SB was dormant, so this year at least or 5 activities in cheyanam? Okay, as a team, that would be your success metric. So that goal, that success metric, what is the whole point of the motivation? All those definitions are necessary. Our definitions kitti kayinal, you will yourself understand that എന്താ ചെയ്യേണ്ട ആ motivation കിട്ടാൻ വേണ്ടി. ഈ motivation videos ഒക്കെ കാണുന്ന സംഭവം ഞാൻ സത്യം പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരിക്കലും പറയില്ല, because those kind of motivation stays with you for like what, 2 minutes. ഇപ്പൊ ഒരു motivational video കണ്ടു, ഭയങ്കര മോട്ടിവേറ്റഡ് ആയിരിക്കും. ഒരു 2 മിനിറ്റ് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഒരു ക്യൂട്ട് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു പൂച്ചക്കുട്ടീന്റെ വീഡിയോ കണ്ട, ഭയങ്കര സോ സ്വീറ്റ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ആ മൂഡിലേക്ക് പോകും. ആ മോട്ടിവേഷൻ അപ്പുറത്ത് പോയി. So you need something that defines you. You need something that can sustain your motivation. At the same time, since motivation another vaak upayogichukonde, I'll just say one more thing. At the same time, understand that as a normal human being, it is okay to be demotivated at times. It's okay to not have any kind of motivation for a period of time. It can be a day, a week, a month, couple of months. So personally, ipo njan parayanengil, I basically define myself as a very self-motivated person. Okay, എനിക്ക് ഞാൻ ഭയങ്കര ambitious ആണ്, കരിയറിൽ എനിക്ക് കുറെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ അച്ചീവ് ചെയ്യണമെന്നുണ്ട്. Okay, but എന്താ പറയാ, the early part of this year was personally ഭയങ്കര difficult for me. Okay, എന്ത് ചെയ്തിട്ട് മോട്ടിവേഷൻ കിട്ടുന്നില്ലായിരുന്നു അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ. And eventually accepted that, okay, it's maybe just burnout. Okay, because motivation illa പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് there's no point in hitting yourself hard. Understand, you are a human being, you have your own set of thoughts and stuff. At times it is okay not to be motivated. Okay, our realization always make sure you have. I hope I answer you all right, Arfaz.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. It was very...
Sure, no worries. Thanks.
Sir,
Thank you,
I have
sir.
a question. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes,
sorry.
I'm Fida. I am the Membership Development Coordinator of IEEE Link. So one question, it's rather, I would like to know your suggestion basically. So would you like to, can you just share some your thoughts on being an IEEE member? So the students here who have joined the meeting would like to know what have you gained out of IEEE, or what have you gained out of being an IEEE member and volunteering and all that. So what have you gained out of it? So it would be nice if you can share it to all of us.
Okay, so before I answer that, let me just again say it very clearly. This is purely from a personal perspective. Okay, purely personal perspective, Anna. There is like so what worked for me need not necessarily work for you. And just because I said that I got all these benefits, understand that you may or may not get the same benefits. You might get less, you might get the same, you might get more. Okay, so you need individually, everyone of you needs to understand that IEEE volunteering for a journey, and it is actually a journey. Okay, and irrespective of the fact that many of you might have same destination or different destination, the path is going to be different, the experience is going to be different. Okay, when I started volunteering as a student, okay, way back, what, 2008 or 9, when I started volunteering, one of the main reasons why I got into IEEE was in the Annatte seniors, my seniors who were active in IEEE, they were a really nice bunch. They were like a really nice bunch of, Payangara self-motivated, Payangara nalla aalkaraayirunnu. And I was like really inspired to see them. That, it's like that whole group was Kidu. That whole group was Payangara poly group. Avare kandittaan I actually IEEE adum keriyathu. And then all of my best friends, my whole that friend circle, everyone also joined IEEE. And then, so for us, it initially started as, volunteering, doing stuff, starting off with projects. We definitely liked that whole, let's say, that whole theme of IEEE, advancing technology for humanity. Personally, I've never been a very tech savvy person. Pakshe, at least getting to do some events that provide technical benefits to others. Our aspect is that, even though I'm not very technically strong, I'm able to do stuff that helps others. Okay, any other person is helpful. Then, graduate I so after I graduated, I built my own startup. And even when I was doing that, all my mentors, all that, say, even my first staff for my startup, and the IEEE connections which I kittiyathu. So, idevole thanne or IEEE student, 2012, he was annathe IEEE Kochi Hub technical coordinator. Okay, he invited me for a session in Kochi Hub meet or a session vilichu. Angane avane parijayapettu, angane like nalla friends I. And then when he graduated, I knew his strengths, I knew his skills. I gave him his first job, and then I started like it too. So my first staff was through IEEE. All my present best friends, apart like even my college best friends, all were in my IEEE circle. College kainite, even when I was working, all my best friends I got through the IEEE circle. All my mentors I got through the IEEE circle. Even when I had my startup, some of my clients I got through the connections in IEEE. And most recently, comparatively recently, in the life partner, actually IEEE. So she's a GEC Trishur pass out on a 2018 batch. So again, like, I mean, I don't mind sharing this, but like, അവളുടെ കോളേജിൽ പല പ്രാവശ്യം സെഷൻ എടുക്കാൻ പോയിട്ടുണ്ട്, അങ്ങനെ പരിചയപ്പെട്ടു. അങ്ങനെ eventually പിന്നെ then I ran this section internship program where she was a part. അങ്ങനെ പരിചയപ്പെട്ട് അങ്ങനെ now she's my life partner എന്ന രീതിയിൽ. So എനിക്ക് personally, professionally and personally, I have gained a lot. I would say, like, it would not be wrong to say that professionally, whatever skills I have gained in my career, 98% of it I have gained directly or indirectly through my experience with IEEE. And even like in 2017, when I came to a completely new country, Australia, came here for my master's. ഇവിടെ വന്നപ്പോഴും IEEE എന്നൊരു കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. That was the first community I got into. They were like, oh, you're an IEEE volunteer, welcomed me with open arms. So, that community, that's the power of like being part of such a global community, that everywhere you go, you have that context. So for me, like I said, right, Iniki, I have gained a lot through this whole IEEE journey, personally and professionally. Yeah, and I really hope that, all of you, I wouldn't even say some of you, I really hope all of you get to experience that, like all those learnings, all those positives out of this journey.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. It was really nice to hear all these from you, so that see, when you say this, all of them are getting somewhat motivated to be part of IEEE, and see, it's very necessary that they should also experience what IEEE is, right? So
No,
thank
sure,
you so
absolutely,
much.
absolutely. Like,
Thank you so
I'm like, even if one of you like continues to renew your IEEE membership for the next 10 years, I'll be more than happy. So like, just thanks for asking me that question.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So thank you for answering.
Thank you, sir. Guys, this is an interactive session. So if you have any more questions, please do feel to ask, because it will go forward only if you all cooperate. So if you're having any queries, please do ask.
Hello, Vijay. This is Shankar again. I hope I'm better now.
Yes, definitely.
So thank you, Vijay. And during the session, it was very fantastic. As always, your PPT as well as how you present is always really wonderful. I really loved the character that you have taken from the cartoon, right? Upside, right? As well as that angry character from Inside Out, and the minion and all. So it's really motivational to, so behind our mind we are also thinking in that way. So it's very interesting, as well as mentioned by Fida, the chat is a very interesting PPT too. So we have grabbed all concepts. So I guess personally speaking, you have covered everything with the telephone equities as well as the email equities, but just for like food for the thought when we really wind up. So it will be great that if we conduct this talk into a something sort of a workshop. So with your thing, I think we are running late and it's nearly 9:30 over there, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, so just a quick, it will be great if the students here can have some sort of a little workshop where you are trying to call Ms. Vijay as Paul for a session. So it will be really wonderful if a person initiates this session by like a telephonic conversation with Vijay on inviting a session on coming a particular day. So the floor is open. So with that, we can have a workshop session. So it will be really motivation and a wonderful session at the end. So with your permission, Vijay, can we have that as well?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay,
And
okay,
as we said, like again, if anyone has any further questions, we're definitely happy to answer that also. And I'm happy to stay on for another 15 minutes if you want. That's all right, no issues.
Okay. So the floor is open. Anyone can pop your question. And while the students are popping a question, and it's really wonderful that you share your ITP experience professionally as well as professionally. It's really a motivation. Open as always, a very good friend of mine. And personally speaking, when I was in I was with Chennai, and when I came to Kerala, Bibin, Vijay, these are the vibrant volunteers I have seen, and seeing that vibrant community itself, it's a emotion filled and as well as fun packed technical experience, I would say. So with that, I think I have enough pitched in. So the floor is open for any student, and as I always say, this is an opportunity for any volunteer to grab on. So the floor is open.
Hello, sir.
Yes, hello. Who is this? Sandra?
Yes, sir. I'm Sandra
Yes.
from College of Engineering, Kallupara.
Hi, Sandra. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you. So, sir, my question is, as an IEEE volunteer, how should we approach a professional? What all are the things that we should keep in mind to maintain a healthy contact with other professional members?
Okay, so let me try to understand that question well. When you say professional members, just define for me, who do you mean by professional members? Sandra? You're on mute. You're on mute again. And you're on mute again.
Okay, so let me rephrase what I feel what she's trying to communicate. So she's trying to communicate that IEEE being a professional organization, we have colleagues who are professional. So how to maintain that professional communication with the fellow professional members? I think that is a question, I believe so.
Okay, so like the other IEEE professional, or you would say if seeing from the context of a student, the other professional senior members, right?
Yes, exactly. So that is the thing. If not, please put in the chat box as well, Sandra. So what do you?
Sure. So again, so let's see. I would answer that in two different ways. Okay, one, some people have this amazing skill set of small talk. Okay, they can, even if they're directly talking to a person, or even if it's through email, chat, or whatever, they can somehow just keep a conversation going. If you are one of those people who is really good at small talk, I really don't think you will ever face any issue. Okay, you can somehow bring some topic up and then continue on building a conversation or anything like that. Personally, for me, I'm really bad at small talk. Okay, so let's say you give me a stage like this, I'm happy to talk. You put me in a room with different people, I'll just go to one corner, silently sit there. I'm really bad at small talk. Okay, for me personally, I need a context to talk to someone and to initiate a conversation. Now, because of that, to be very honest, I have lost many opportunities in life, just because on my own principles, I don't simply initiate a conversation for the sake of a conversation. Okay. Again, honestly, I've lost many opportunities, but that's just not me. I'm not comfortable initiating a conversation or keeping in touch. So for me personally, even when I was a student, so when as a student, there were not many professional members I knew. There were only a few, but more or less, I always had some context, right? And there was some context to stay in touch, or maybe say so get some kind of feedback on what we were doing in our student band. Something, there was always a context. As I progressed further in my career, one strategy that has worked for me is, if you have no context, like if you really want to, let's say, build your connection with a person and you're just not getting any excuse, you're not getting any context, like ഞാൻ എന്ത് യൂസ് ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഒരു conversation build ചെയ്യും എന്നൊരു excuse കിട്ടണില്ലെങ്കിൽ, the one thing that has always worked for me is ask them for advice. Okay, every single person loves giving advice. Okay, it just satisfies everyone's ego. Okay, even if right now, if I just call up one of you and I'm like, see, I need some advice from you, by default, everyone feels happy when someone asks them for advice. So personally for me, whenever I'm like, I really need to build a connection with someone, but I just don't have a context, I reach out to them, provide some context around who I am, why I'm reaching out, okay, why, and if it is advice, I'm asking why I feel they are the right person. Email ആണെങ്കിൽ കുറച്ച് പൊക്കി പറ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഫോൺ ഡയറക്ട്ലി ആദ്യം ഫോണൊന്നും വിളിക്കാറില്ല. സോ ഇമെയിൽ ആണെങ്കിൽ, or you're reaching out through LinkedIn, ആദ്യം ഒന്ന് കുറച്ചൊക്കെ പൊക്കി പറയതായിട്ട്, I feel really inspired seeing the content you post on LinkedIn. I'm really inspired by your professional journey, etc., etc. I would really love to get some advice in the രീതിയിൽ. So the advice trick has always helped me a lot, especially Australia, like the whole culture in India and Australia has been very different. So when I was doing my masters, I definitely needed to build a professional community, a professional network. Okay, and the number one strategy there. So one thing which I personally would do was, at one given point of time, I would focus only on one person. So it was not like ഒരേ സമയത്ത് 8-10 ആൾക്കാരായിട്ട് കണക്ഷൻ ഉണ്ടാക്കാൻ നോക്കും. ഒരു സമയത്ത് ഒരാളായിട്ട്, because my whole intention was ആ ഒരാളായിട്ട് നല്ലൊരു ബന്ധം ഉണ്ടാക്കണം. Okay, that's it. And it should not be like, it should not be a fake relationship. It should be genuine. Like, I genuinely want to know the person. I genuinely want them to know me. I genuinely feel that, I definitely can get some learnings from them. And hopefully at some point, I can also be of some value to them. Okay. And let's say, if you are asking me, when I look back, every single one of those people with whom I have built a relationship using that strategy, I have not just taken from them. I've always been able to provide some kind of support. Okay, I've always been able to provide some kind of support back to them. Okay, Karam, you need to understand that, especially professionals, they are so used to people, and I don't mean it in an offensive manner, but especially Keralathil, in general, professionals and especially IEEE professionals are very used to random students reaching out to them on LinkedIn or whatever platform, and say, just trying to build a conversation. Okay, majority people know that that's a genuine method. They are doing this because, end of the day, at some point you want a job somehow and you want to either get my reference or use my network. Okay, so that in the general scale of things, everyone is trying to build connections for the sake of it. Okay, don't be that kind of a person. Okay, 99% of people might be like that. Don't be that 99%. Be that 1% who is like, okay, yes, end of the day, call it just selfish needs, but approach that relationship with a genuine manner, that genuinely you want to learn something. Even if that person looks at that relationship of yours, that professional relationship, they feel that, you are someone who is genuine, who is not in it just so that that person can, you can boast on your LinkedIn profile that, oh, inna aal ende LinkedIn connection aanu, or inna aal enne Twitter la follow cheyyunnundu, angane maatram. So that genuine reason, that genuine context is something you have to identify individually. Okay, but the benefit of that is, if you do that, that provides you with a meaningful relationship. So it's not building relationships or building professional connections, it's not about the numbers, it's about the quality. It's quantity in the career. It is all about the quality. So, I mean, for me personally, I think that adds more value. You might have a different experience. For some people, quantity works. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying this purely from my perspective. I hope I answer you, Sandra, if you are still in the Zoom meeting.
Yes, this is Shankar. So that's wonderful, Vijay. We can have few more questions, but I think it's nearing late over there. So I hope you had a very good dinner, I guess.
I have to go and have my dinner. I think Ponnu Sarah Matthew was going to ask something. Ponnu, I think. Yes, Ponnu, you are.
Good evening, sir. My name is Ponnu Sarah Matthew. So my question is, as an IEEE volunteer, in what all areas we should focus on for a better professional growth?
So Ponnu, I will probably ask you back. Okay, as a student right now who will be a professional in, let's say, what, 3, 4, 5 years, what are your fields of interest? You don't need to answer me right now, but the answer that you have to this question is the answer you're looking for. Okay.
Like,
so,
in what skill sets do we have to require for a better professional growth, likewise in communication?
So what should one? Yep, I think I kind of understand. See, in terms of being an IEEE volunteer, okay, the good side of it is, for being an IEEE volunteer, you basically don't think of it as what skills you need. Okay, if you have the willpower, if you have the interest to be an IEEE volunteer, that's more than enough. Okay, starting criteria interest vanam to be an active IEEE volunteer, interest vanam to be part of that community, interest vanam that you want to better yourself. Okay, your interest on dingle, rest all the learnings, rest all the skills, everything you learn as part of that journey. Okay, so it's not like, okay, if I want to be professionally good, I should better my communication skills. Okay, in parayan. Okay, maybe LinkedIn, link Coursera, edX courses. But what you learn from there, 100 times that you learn in, let's say, communication skills or leadership skills, or how to handle conflicts, or how to give criticism. You learn all that 100 times better in real life while volunteering with that organization. Okay, so there is no checklist as to that. Okay, professional career grow cheyannengil in skill set because again, depends purely from what industry you are. Okay, communication skills almost ella salathum venam. Okay, but again, communication skills develop cheyanennu parayan eluppana. Adu develop cheyan budhimuttana. Ipo ende case for example ഞാൻ പറയാം, ഞാൻ സ്കൂളിലായിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് ഭയങ്കര സ്റ്റേജ് ഫ്രൈറ്റ് ആയിരുന്നു, ടു ദ പോയിന്റ് ദാറ്റ് ഈ സ്കൂൾ ലീഡറിന്റെ ഇലക്ഷന്റെ സമയത്ത് 11th സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡിൽ വെച്ചിട്ട് സ്റ്റേജിൽ നിന്ന് സ്കൂൾ ലീഡറിന്റെ ഇലക്ഷന് വേണ്ടി ഞാൻ നോമിനേഷൻ ഒക്കെ കൊടുത്തതാണ്. പക്ഷെ വൈൽ ഐ വാസ് ടോക്കിംഗ് ഇടയിൽ വെച്ചിട്ട് എന്റെ തലയൊക്കെ കറങ്ങി, അത്രയ്ക്ക് പേടിയായിരുന്നു. ബട്ട് ആഫ്റ്റർ ദാറ്റ് ഹാപ്പൻഡ് ആൻഡ് ഒബ്വിയസ്ലി ഐ ലോസ്റ്റ് ദ ഇലക്ഷൻ. ഐ വാസ് ലൈക്ക് +2 ആകുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് ഈ പേടി മാറ്റണം. ഓക്കെ, ആൻഡ് സോ ആ പേടി മാറ്റണം വാസ് ദ ഡിസിഷൻ. I decided what I want. I decided the destination. And to reach that destination throughout that 1 year, +1 year, +2 like, what do I need to do? I identified, കൂടുതൽ opportunities എടുക്കുക, that takes me on stage. ശരിയാണ്, maybe ആദ്യത്തെ ഒരു 10 പ്രാവശ്യം ബബ്ബ അടിക്കും, സാരില്ല, I was ready to do that. Okay, so the kind of giving a short answer in terms of the skills that you need to build, first you need to identify what is the destination. Okay, professionally, who do you want to be? Okay, so say maybe, for example, if you want to be an electrical engineer, maybe you don't need to have amazing writing skills. Okay, maybe adane atrake avashyilla, basic karyam convey cheyanulla writing skills madi. Okay, but maybe let's say you decide that, okay, enke engineering vanda, I would probably instead go into the field of writing. Okay, then yes, then definitely you may need to focus less on your electronics engineering or electrical or whatever engineering skills and focus more on your writing skills. Okay, so first it's about identifying that destination. This is what I want to be. and then ഒരു idea കിട്ടും that okay ഇതിനു വേണ്ടി ഇന്ന പല കാര്യങ്ങൾ വേണ്ടി വരും. And you also need to be, let's say easy on yourself. You don't know what you don't know. Adam, you need to accept there are a lot of things you don't know. Okay, and you should understand that you don't know what you don't know. Okay, and it is all part of that learning process. And all these things about what you don't know, what are the new things you can learn, many of these things, if not all, you actually learn as part of that community, as you volunteer. Because what happens as you volunteer, you meet different kinds of people. You meet people from other student branches, other universities, other colleges, from people who are, let's say, early career professionals like me and Shankar, people who are pretty senior, like say the section chair or the life members in Kerala section. You meet all these different kinds of people. Every time you see them, interact with them, or probably just listen to a session of theirs, you get new perspectives, new ideas. That gives you again new things to think about. Okay, and when you volunteer, probably your event organization or your workshop organization, you might face a crisis, and then you'll be like, oh, I don't know how to solve this crisis. So you take the help of your senior Chatan and Chechimar, or maybe with your team, and then you understand that okay, issue this is the crisis this is the crisis, this is how I handle it. So the next time something like this happens, you don't get flabbergasted, you don't get scared or you in the team, you know how to handle it. And these things എന്താ പറയുക, ഒരു ചെക്ക് ലിസ്റ്റ് പോലെ ആർക്കും പറഞ്ഞു തരാൻ പറ്റില്ല. These things you have to experience, you have to get that exposure. And that's why I say that to start being an IEEE volunteer, you just need that interest that I want to be a better version of myself. 4 years down the line, I want to be the best version of myself that I could be in this 3 or 4 years of my engineering journey. Our idea undengil, our decision undengil, then it becomes much easier. Okay, the hard part is having that willpower and that interest that I'll be an IEEE volunteer. That is the hard part. The easy part is you basically just get involved in that journey, and the pala skill sets tanathan ingotu vannu. So angane velli tension onnu avanda avashyilla. I hope I kind of answer your question, Pannu.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. If you don't have any more questions left, we can move on to presenting the memento.
Thank you. And like I did drop my email in the chat and also LinkedIn. So if anyone has any further questions, like feel free to email or reach out. Happy to help.
It's my humble request, sir, to consider this memento as a token of gratitude from us, sir, for the generosity and sincerity you have been showering us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to be back with Kerala section, especially the student community. അവിടെയാണ് എൻ്റെ യാത്ര തുടങ്ങിയത്. So I really hope നിങ്ങളുടെയും യാത്ര ഇവിടെ നിന്ന് തുടങ്ങട്ടെ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇനിയും നന്നാവട്ടെ.
Yes, sir. So it is said that we take photographs as a return ticket to the moment otherwise gone. So in order to make this event a memorable one, I would be really glad if you all could switch on your camera so we could click a photo of us all together. I would actually hand over this moment to Thomas Matthew, Technical Coordinator of IEEE Travel Hub. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for that awesome session. Participants, if you could all just switch on your cameras for 1 second, we could have an awesome pic to commemorate this session. Yeah, I'm seeing a few tiles coming up. Let's fill the tiles. Come on, guys. Just a minute. That's all it's going to take you.
കുറെ നേരം എന്റെ മുഖം തന്നെ കണ്ടിട്ട് ബാക്കി ആൾക്കാരുടെ മുഖം കാണുമ്പോൾ എന്തൊരു സന്തോഷം.
Okay, guys.
അഭിരാജേഷ്, നമ്മുടെ ഈ സെഷന്റെ ഒരു ഇത് തന്നെ ചലഞ്ചിങ് ആണ്. We have seen a lot of case studies. Thank you, Vijay, for that. Out of the mind, out of the heart.
So guys, we'll take the screenshot in a minute. So if you could all switch on your cameras now, it'd be great. Okay, so this is how it goes. I'm going to count from 3 to 1, and then we'll say IEEE, and then we take a pic.
Okay.
So if everybody is ready, here we go.
So Thomas, you are not there.
A technical issue, sir. I think we can overlook that for now. 3, 2, 1, IEEE. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you. Since it's around the corner to wrap up the session, I would like to summon Jihana and to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Bhavya. Good evening to one and all present here. I deem it's a great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks on this memorable event. First and foremost, I thank our special guest, Mr. Vijay Spoke, who despite his busy schedule has found time to grace this event. Thank you so much, sir, for taking such a wonderful session. The session was indeed very informative and useful and solved many of our doubts. Once again, thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. I thank Professor Shankar Jay, our Chair of Student Activities Committee of IEEE Kerala Session, for joining today's session. Next, I thank Mr. Karthik K, Chair, Membership Development of IEEE Kerala Session, for joining this session. I owe a special gratitude to our event coordinators and all the vibrant volunteers who had worked extremely hard for the Renaissance 2.0. At last, but not the least, thank you so much to the volunteers from invited SBs across Kerala Session who are involved to rewrite their college history. Without you guys, it's not possible to conduct this event. Thank you so much for your patience and active listening in the entire session. If I have missed someone, I'm genuinely sorry about that. Once again, thank you all. Thank you for the participation.
Thank you, Johanna. Thank you, Shankar. Thank you, Thomas. Thanks a lot, everyone. And I really wish each and every single one of you the best in your IEEE journey, especially with your SP. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before you all leave the session, please, I request you all to fill the feedback forms provided. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Vijay. So it was really nice to have you with us today. It was really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Really kind of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
so
Shankar.
Wish you all the best for your career and your great, as well as wishing like a belated happy Onam, as well as a wonderful dinner today.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Oh, belated happy Onam to everyone. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thank you.